learning today. Overkill here might be the tool for rain teams to absolutely destroy any grass types in their way. Overquill. Overquill here is the evolved form of Hisuian Qwilfish. It's a dark poison type. It's super spiky. Like, look at it. It's got ice spikes, for God's sake. Overkill here. Overquill. It started off as a joke, now I'm just going to unintentionally do it for the rest of the video. Overquill here has 85 HP, 115 attack, 95 defense, 65 in each of its special stats, and 85 speed. As far as its abilities go, it's got Swift Swim, Poison Point, and Intimidate. Poison Point we don't really care too much about. It's kind of such a... It's not kind of, it's such a passive ability here. Basically, with all the items out there and abilities that nullify contact effects, that 30% chance of being poisoned when hitting Overquill, not likely going to happen. But Swift Swim and Intimidate are two really solid abilities here. Intimidate, I do not need to stress how important Intimidate is. It's been prevalent in VGC since time immemorial here. As prevalent in VGC as cats have been on YouTube. Basically here, Intimidate, you lower the opponent's attack one stage. That's it. But it's such a great ability here, and it couples nicely with the 95 defense stat and the 85 HP. On top of that, though, we do have Swift Swim, which means Overquill here might actually be more of a likely option to see on rain teams as opposed to Basque Legion. Also, I'm sorry, Basque Legion. I literally just put that video out today as I'm filming this one, but I digress. Swift Swim on Overquill here might actually mean we might be seeing that likely on rain teams. So, why? Well, for one thing, we could see either Loaded Dice, Pin Missile here. That would wreck a lot of grass types, especially any grass type that shares a dual combination that makes it 4 times weak to bug. Pin Missile here with the Loaded Dice, you are guaranteed 4 hits. Pin Missile has a base power of 25. It's basically a slightly less accurate version of Bullet Seed. The only difference being is 5 points in accuracy. It's essentially Bug-type Bullet Seed, and that is going to be really nice with the Loaded Dice. Overquill here can actually use Sword Stance to raise its attack 2 stages. You switch in a Rain Setter, or maybe even you go for... Ooh, here's a good idea. You have a redirectional support, maybe say Amoonguss. Hopefully Amoonguss, because I think this is going to be the way to work. Bring out Amoonguss here, or Indeedee, or Mousehold. Give them an eject button. Go for the redirection move. Go for Sword Stance with Overquill. When they take the hit and they get swapped out, now spread moves do ruin this, but when that eject button takes that damage and they switch out, you can bring in Pelipper, get your speed, and then next turn just go for an absolute maniacal Pin Missile right there, or Poison Jab, or Crunch, whatever you want to run. I've got Crunch and Poison Jab on here because of the stabs, and they kind of complement each other nice, because if you run either Poison Jab and Pin Missile, you get walled by Steel types. At least Crunch can hit the Steel types. You could run a Water type move because you would be looking to benefit off of Rain boosting not only your speed, but boosting your damage. So you could make the case for, instead of either Poison Jab or Crunch, you could run Liquidation, you could run Aqua Tail. Does this thing get Waterfall? That's another question. Does this thing get Waterfall? It does. So you could run Waterfall as well, have a little bit of a flinch chance as well. You could run Liquidation to run the potential chance of lowering your opponent's defense 1 stage. You could also run Protect, but you would be going down to 2 damaging moves in doubles. In singles, this might be a little bit fun, but the whole eject button thing, that won't happen. But I digress. It could be a quick and funny way to get Rain on the field. You can also just go for Prankster support as well. That's definitely a thing too. Let's just double check something right quick. Let's go Follow Me, because I don't think any of the Rage Powder users get Rain Dance. And Rain Dance. There you go. Mousehold gets both. Run Mousehold with this. Anyways, we'll just get rid of that. So, going back to the Overquill idea with the Loaded Dice, what I was thinking was we go for +2 attack. With max attack investment, we hit 183 points. The nice thing here is you only need 12 EVs in speed to hit 107, meaning you'll outspeed Dragapult. If you want to increase it up to 112, that's not too bad as well. We can take out the little bit of defense investment that I had on this thing to bring it up to 109, take a little bit of HP, just to bring it up to 112. And why am I bringing it up to 112? Well, for one thing, this outspeeds base 150 mons, such as Electrode, And eventually, not now, I don't mean to scare you, I really don't mean to scare you, but at some point, Calyrex Shadow Rider is coming back, and that's also a base 150 mon. Base 150 mon, weak to dark, so just keep that in mind. 52 speed points, speed EVs give you 112 on Overquill. You can outspeed it with Swift Swim, so that is a thing. Eventually, Kyogre will be back too. Oh god, I don't scare myself. But anyways, what you can do here is you can go for that Sword Stance, get your ×2 modifier with the one Sword Stance. Now you're sitting at over 300 points right there with your attack. You've got a guaranteed minimum of 4 hits with Pin Missile. You can punch some holes in a lot of things right there. If you have Wo-Chien against you, I ran the Calc without any attack investment, and this thing does a lot just to a 0 defense invested Tablets of Ruin Wo-Chien right here. So with attack investment with Sword Stance, you should be able to pick off Wo-Chien pretty comfortably if you're running against a non-Terra Wo-Chien with 0 defense investment. Now, as far as if it wants to run defense investment, I didn't run the calc for that, but I digress. A +2 from Sword Stance, that's going to hit really hard, because, you know, as soon as you hit +2, you're already at double your attack. That's nice. So anyways, what I was thinking here was we can also run Poison Jab for some generic poison type coverage. Poison would handle the fairy types that would otherwise give dark type coverage and bug type coverage. A bit of a hard time there. So you could run the Poison Jab. You could also run Barb Barrage, which basically, if they keep this exactly as it is right now, it's got a 50% chance to poison the opponent, which is nice. And it's basically better Venoshock, because not only does it do double damage when the target is poisoned, it also can potentially poison the target. So, you know what? If Game Freak wants to buff Venoshock to actually make it usable, please just make it special Barb Barrage. That's all I ask. So you could go for Barb Barrage if you wanted to on this thing, but I was thinking the Poison Jab is at least consistent, and you have a decent chance of poisoning with the, what is it, 30% on Poison Jab? Yeah, 30% is not that bad a chance to potentially poison as well. Now, Barb Barrage does have the better percent, but until you get that guaranteed poison, Poison Jab's going to be a little bit more consistent. So you could use either or. I feel like I'd be a little bit more comfortable with running Poison Jab right off the bat with this kind of a set, but I digress. You could still run Barb Barrage. It's completely open. Actually, on that note, the next set is a Barb Barrage idea. So what I was thinking was, we run some leftovers, we put some special defense investment into us. We could run the Swift Swim, we could also keep the Intimidate. If we run Intimidate, we could probably just change out Liquidation for something else. But I was thinking, with max HP investment, you're basically rounding up the amount of points that you can get from your leftovers at 192. Otherwise, I would run that down to 189. We have 180 points in EVs on the neutral attack nature here, so we hit 158. What I was thinking with this was, you could potentially do a few things. You could run something like Screamtail or Arcanine next to it with Howl to naturally boost your attack that way. Unfortunately, Coaching currently isn't available, but when Coaching does become available, man, that's going to be really fun to run next to an Overquill, because you'd get a +1 to your attack and your defense. Unfortunately, Overquill itself, actually, does it get bulk up? I'm pretty sure it gets bulk up, now that I'm thinking about it. We're learning today. No, it doesn't. So, unfortunately, Overquill doesn't get bulk up. But if Coaching ever comes back, that could be really nice to increase your attack and defense stat. You could go bulk up Baton Pass with Screamtail. You could go Howl with Screamtail or Arcanine, like I said. On top of that, Screamtail does give you screens. Grimmsnarl does too, so I think really what you could do with this form of an Overquill is you can go Terra Poison, double your stab for your Barb Barrage, and then gradually spread poison throughout the entire team. And this might actually even give Glimmora a little bit of a run for its money on a team slot. Because Glimmora right now, the whole thing is it's got Mortal Spin to poison both of your opponents right there. It's a spread move, which a couple videos ago I didn't realize that, and then I ended up dealing with it, finding out the hard way. Pretty sure that was one of my Colossal videos, so a little while ago now. But anyways, I digress. With Glamora, you have the Mortal Spin, you have the Toxic Debris ability to spread Toxic Spikes. Overquill with Barb Barrage might actually be able to threaten the opponent with poisoning the Mons on their team, and Barb Barrage would then double in power, so it's almost like a 2-for-1. It's basically combining Mortal Spin with half of the effectiveness rate with Venoshock. Only just getting a physical move. So you could do that. Like, I was thinking Terra Poison, double it up. So at minimum, you're already at 120. If your opponent's poisoned, now you're already looking at doubling your power. So you're 120 before your Terra Poison benefits. So you're already looking at potentially 240. Food for thought. You have Crunch there to hit steel types that would otherwise be immune to you. You could have Liquidation as well to do some chip damage, but you could also run a few other things. I think this thing gets Reversal as well, which is fighting coverage. It does. So the less HP the user has, the more damage you have. So you do have access to some fighting coverage, but let's just take another quick look here. Yeah, Reversal is your only fighting type move, unfortunately, but you could do that. What do we get for ice coverage? Ice Beam. Ugh. Overquill does get Haze too, which on a tangent, Haze could be nice for resetting your opponent's boosts while clearing the field of any boosts. So you do have access to Haze. You have Icy Wind if you want to use this as a little bit of support on a Swift Swimmer. So yeah, food for thought right there. Just go with the Liquidation, put that right back. Hello, Noelle. You gonna say hi to the camera? No? You're just gonna lay down on the table there? Okay. So anyways, that was my main thoughts on two different Overquill sets. Now let's take a look at Baby Quill, the Hisuian Qwilfish. This thing can evolve, and honestly, I think this might be the best one to run Intimidate on. So basically, you'd be lowering your opponent's attack right there. You have the Eviolite to boost up each of your defenses by 50%, sorry. Thoughts were getting a little loose there, but anyways, you increase each of your defenses by 50% right there. You can run 220 EV points to get up to 168. 116 takes you to 120. 156 on a Careful Nature takes you up to 104. And then you could just divvy up the rest to get that 107 if you wanted to in speed, and then your remaining 4 points into attack. And what I was thinking was you can run on maybe like a Toxic Stall kind of idea with Intimidate here. You have the Barb Barrage to do some damage. You can also just guarantee the poisoning status with Toxic, and then just run Crunch for some general damage. Now, as far as typical Qwilfish builds go, I don't really know what else you could do. You could maybe run Stockpile to increase your defenses. The only problem there is you'd have to watch out for opposing Haze users, but you could run Stockpile, get a maximum of up to 3 defense and special defense boosts, but you'd be kind of like out there a little bit HP wise. So I don't think you can really fit it on there, but the nice thing is because it's an Intimidator, you could justify just switching it out repeatedly to lower your opponent's stats. From there, you have the Toxic that can just whittle them down, especially if you're in a 3v2 situation right here. You can just keep pivoting Qwilfish out and then switching it into other things until Toxic eventually just wears them down, because Toxic does get worse over time. Like I said, you have the Barb Barrage to double in power on that, so you could apply pressure. The Crunch was mainly just there to make sure that Steel types just don't completely wall you, but you could even go like maybe Aqua Jet, or you can run Chilling Water if you want to further increase your opponent's frustration by lowering their attack stat. You have Destiny Bond as well, so if Qwilfish is going down, you can maybe throw that out. Maybe if you got Tailwind on the field, you can get a fast Destiny Bond. They take out Qwilfish, Qwilfish takes them down. Gunk Shot is just strong poison damage, but it's Hydro Pump essentially for poison types, so I'd be a little bit weary running that 80 accuracy. Like I mentioned with Overquill, you do have Haze as well if you wanted to undo some stats, but where you're an Intimidator, you probably don't want to undo the drops. So really, unless your opponent has something that's quickly getting out of hand with boosts to its offensive stats, like maybe, say, Torch Song Skeledirge or Swords Dance or Nasty Plot users, you could go for the Haze, but I think that's a little too hypothetical, so maybe not Haze. You have Sub as well, which could be kind of funny with Toxic and Protect. If you had a way of getting your HP back, like maybe you had a Life Dew user, that could be kind of funny there. It'd be really frustrating, actually. You do get Taunt, which Taunt is something that I should have brought up a little bit earlier with both the Overquill and the Qwilfish, especially on the Swift Swim variants. That can be really nice to shut down your opponent really fast with the taunt, especially with Rain already on the field or Tailwind. You shut down that taunt. Like I kept going on about Screamtail earlier with all the status moves. You shut that down with a taunt, and it's gonna have a miserable time. Same with Grimstone. So anyways, guys, on that happy note, I think I've talked long enough about Overquill and Qwilfish, so let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will see you there.